Every once in a while, I see a film that's so striking on every level that it makes me think about it nonstop. A Portrait of a Lady on Fire is one of those films. Its story is fairly simple. A woman named Marianne in 1760s France is commissioned to paint a portrait of a young woman named Heloise, but she must do so in secret, as a woman doesn't want to pose for the portrait, as it will be used to secure a marriage for her. Marianne must paint off of her memory, using her long gazes at the young woman to take in as much information as possible. Soon that artistic gaze turns into one of passion, and a romance is soon created between them. That romance is so impeccably crafted that it's reminiscent of one of Marianne's paintings. Every single aspect of the film communicates the suppressed emotions and romantic feelings bubbling under the surface, especially the cinematography. You can feel the warmth of the characters from every single frame of its beautifully photographed scenes. This is truly some of the best cinematography that I've seen in a while. As the two leads open up to each other, so does the framing of the scenes. The writing is just exquisite. With every piece of dialogue, the leads push each other away and draw each other closer, like the waves they live by. The sound design adds this tension to every scene, as we think they are on the verge of finally dropping the facade and just communicating their feelings to each other. And when they do and Heloise opens up and goes from being closed off to being warm and energetic, it's just incredibly heartwarming and a joy to watch. This movie is surprisingly funny, but its humor never gets in the way of the scenes, or are just there to provide levity. They expand on the lead's connection with one another, and provides insight to their mindsets and bubbling emotions. Typically in romance or forbidden love films, there's a lack of chemistry or visible passion that makes it seem like the actors who are supposed to be in love are statues bumping up against each other, but that's definitely not the case here. There's more passion in a gaze or a single kiss in this movie than in 100 Hollywood sex scenes. It does this while being a tenth as explicit. It never goes into blue is the warmest color territory. It's the complete opposite of that movie. Every moment of intimacy is purposeful and tasteful. The performances from the leads are phenomenal, some of the best that I've seen all year, especially from the woman that plays Heloise. She's incredibly emotive without overacting and still remains believable. The ticks in her performances are never once dropped. She deserves some award recognition for what she does here. I would say the same for the director, who doesn't drop the ball once in the film's 2-hour runtime. This is by far her best film yet, and I can't wait until she makes another one. I honestly can't think of one shortcoming that this film has. There are some surreal moments that are kinda on the nose, I guess, but they're never too distracting and serve touching purposes. The opening of the movie tells us the fate of the two lovers' romance, and yet that doesn't harm the film at all. It expands on the ending and makes it far more impactful. Said ending is now one of my favorites. A Portrait of a Lady on Fire is an absolute must-watch. I've never been so involved in a fictional couple's relationship. As soon as the credits rolled, I immediately wanted to be re-immersed in the world that the director crafted. There are very few films that I consider masterpieces, and this is one of them. It's left me with an emotional warmth that I still haven't shaken since watching it. I highly recommend you see it as soon as possible.